Hello guys, welcome back to the Strong Girl Gossip podcast. This is Get to Know Us Part 2. We just recorded Part 1. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. And I think it was really nice to reflect back on our journeys. And when you start talking about it, you're like, oh gosh, a lot has happened. But yeah, so we thought we'd bring you a Part 2 and we're going to just go through why we now decided to make it our jobs. Because that's obviously got a part to play in the journey. And also maybe some things that you don't know about us and just some other bits and bobs.
Other bits and bobs. But first, before we do, we haven't forgotten about Win of the Week. We're not doing it because we just recorded Part 1. So Don't think we've gone crazy.
It's a new week for you guys, so take a second to pause and think about your Win of the Week.
Right, so we talked about fitness journeys. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back, listen to that. We're going to go into why we decided to make it our jobs. So Jess, you go first.
Okay, so yeah, on the back of the last episode, I feel like this won't make sense if you don't listen to the last episode, guys. So yeah, just reiterating what Ella just said. Make sure you give part 1 a listen first. But coming on to why I decided first to make this my job and why I decided to become a coach. So during the lockdown phase of my fitness journey, I was really intrigued about the knowledge side of things. I wanted to learn purely for my own benefit. So I invested in nutrition courses. I invested in then later getting my personal training qualifications. And it did all genuinely start from me wanting to gain the knowledge because I was sick of yo-yo dieting. I was sick of going to just constantly make myself smaller and being in that mentality of just not knowing what is right. And I say that with bunny ears if you're not watching, because what is right? Sure. But, there is definitely things that are black and white. And I think gaining that knowledge is just key. And it really helped me. I learned about my body. I learned about nutrition and how to fuel myself, how to nourish myself, how to exercise properly and learn proper technique. And I was just really invested in gaining that knowledge. So that is where that journey began for me. And honestly, I just decided to start using my qualification to help people around me. So even if they didn't want my help, my partner, I'm like, okay, do you want to learn to squat? Well, even if not, I'm going to teach you. And just people around me really just going, oh, I quite enjoy this. But this was all whilst I was double hatting. So I was still in the military at this point. I was still doing my full-time job, which wasn't actually anything to do with personal training or coaching or anything like that. It was a completely different role. But I would also, during breaks and on the side and things like that, be really invested in learning. So that is how it all started for me. And then honestly, I just got hooked on helping people. I started helping family, then friends. And then I was like, okay, maybe I could just do myself a little logo and start. So that's exactly what happened. I started training people in the gym, in person alongside my job. Bit of a wild start to my business and to my journey, to be honest, because I would literally be on call for work, in the forces, but also then have people booked in and I have to cancel them last minute. And yeah, it was a bit wild. I used to go to people's houses and literally charge peanuts just to train people because I loved it. I literally just loved it. It was a passion. I realized how much fitness helped me, and then I just wanted to simply help people to gain that knowledge as well and do the same, because it was definitely from my experiences that I've had over the years, it was clear to me that there just wasn't enough knowledge out there, and there still isn't for some people. But I think if you can invest in anything, invest in knowledge into your health, because it's just, it's so game changing to know that chocolate's not bad and apples aren't good. Food is just food, and movement is good for your mind, it's good for your body, it's good for your soul. So I think, it's just getting hooked on the knowledge where it all started for me. And then here we are. It just literally just propelled. And then I was like, I love this. I just love what I'm doing, where I decided to take the leap to hammer noticing. I didn't particularly hate the job I was doing, not at all. I just really loved what I was doing more in the coaching side of things. So in person, started CrossFit coaching as well, because I started CrossFit, loved doing that, and loved teaching group classes and group environments. And that was really, really insightful because I got to coach a lot of different age groups, men, women, and a really mixed bag. So I feel I gained a lot of experience there, and it was really eye-opening to see how other people's point of views from fitness and things like that. So And then here we are. Moved the business online to help even more people. So that's how it all began. Do you know when you start talking about it, it's like, bloody hell, come up for air. Like, how much information do you want to give? But it's just so long. It's just so long that you can't stop.
I know. That's really interesting though, like it almost like being like a little side thing.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show, like, most of you listening won't be a PT or you won't be in fitness. Like, we get that. But there is something to take from that, from like investing in yourself. It's going to be knowledge you always have. I always say, like, if you're investing into a 12-week program or whatever it is, that's not just for 12 weeks. That is going to be knowledge that you have for your entire life. And that's where you need to think about, like, investing in yourself, I think. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah. What about you?
So again, talking off the back of the last episode, coming out of lockdown, I was like, right, I don't want to be a dancer anymore. Like, I don't even want to try and be a dancer because I am a bit of a control freak. And as many people might know, it's just an industry that you do not have any control over. Like, you might have your dream job for 6 months and then you finish that job and you need to get a job that you hate, you know? And I just like didn't like the idea of that. Even if, you know, it was to work, if I was to audition and get places. So I just didn't like I didn't like not being in control. So coming off the back of lockdown.
Sorry to interrupt you. That's so cool, by the way. Like, what kind of dancing do you do? Do we get to have a show one day?
No shows, I'm afraid. I'm retired. So yeah, I did a couple of like really, really shocking jobs coming out of lockdown because I moved back to London and there was just not much around. And like, I would say, to give you an example of the type of jobs I did, I worked as a charity fundraiser. So, you know, there's people who try and stop you on the street. That was me. And it was awful. Like, out in the cold, 10 till 6. And I know I'm really lucky because I had like a warm bed to go home to, but it was just like vile. Horrible job. And I can say that because I did it. And I was just like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? For context, I don't have A-levels. I don't have a degree. Like, I've got nothing. How the hell am I going to make anything work? So I was like, well, I love lifting weights and I'm pretty good at it. So, and I had like background in teaching with dance and stuff. So I was like, maybe I could like be a PT. And honestly, the decision to take my PT course took me ages. And I'm such a no person for context. And I was like not wanting to do it. And whenever I do something, make a decision, it's always against my better judgment. If I always followed my heart, I would not be doing anything in this life because I'm a no person. But anyway, forced myself to do my PT qualification, did my PT qualification, started learning more about like how to help other people. And honestly, it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. Like, I was so unhappy. So like literally the only time I was like enjoying myself was when I was at the gym, and now I just get to be in the gym whenever I want. So yeah, I did my PT qualification, started off in group fitness, which, like you said, honestly exposed me to such a massive amount of bodies at the very, very start of my career. It almost like accelerated me knowledge wise as to where I am now, because I just had to like really adapt very quickly to what the person in front of me was like. And like, I think group fitness gets a bit of shit career wise, but it's honestly the best place to start. And then I started having my own clients, started taking people online, and yeah, that's basically it. I just was like, oh my God, I love that I can help women come out of the place that I was in. So like where I was doing HIIT workouts, almost like stuck in a rut because I was like plateauing, not seeing that much progress and wanting to get into strength training, I can help them just accelerate their journeys. Just go from like the place of wanting to get smaller to actually, let's lift weights, let's do it well really, really quickly. So yeah, I always try and be the person that I needed in my fitness journey.
I love that. I love that so much. And I think it's so interesting, isn't it? Because like when we're talking now, I'm like reflecting on the fitness journeys that we've had, and then also why we then decided to become coaches. I think for me, I always go back to the lack of confidence that I had, like in my last job and like when I was younger, and like when I first started training at the gym. And I don't just mean a lack of confidence to be in the gym environment. I mean like as a whole, like I wasn't a confident person. So for me to like go and hand my notice in for my job to come and do this like for a business was like such a huge like pivotal moment for me, because it was like that confidence that I'd gained throughout my training. Because it is like when you start like lifting, for example, and you start, I don't know, you squat something that you've never squatted before, it's the mindset of going, I did it, like I can do that. And the more that that gets repeated to you, the more that it then transfers over to everyday life. And that's exactly what I found like with my journey of making this my job. It's like, because of that mentality and that mindset that I had formed from my training, I then developed that in everyday life. So I was like, I can do it. Like I can have my own business. I can help people do what I have done. And I think, yeah, just like reflecting back on that, I think mindset has been a really, really big part of it. And that comes from your fitness journey. So I don't know, maybe someone is listening to this and maybe you don't want to become a coach or a personal trainer, right? But maybe you want to do something and your lack of confidence is holding you back, whatever domain that is, right? And I think just by working on your confidence and working on your self-development, you don't know where it's going to take you. So I think that's important to remember.
Agreed. And like going back to my own personal journey of like starting as a dancer and not having any control over like you all sat in front of an audition panel and it's like, oh, I hope they like me, and like, oh, what are they gonna think, that I'm too big, too small, like what are they gonna think? But like when I then started weight training, it was kind of the first thing that I ever had in my life that was like, actually no, if you work hard at this, if you put the work in, if you put the reps in, if you keep going back every week doing the same exercises and adding weight, you will get to that 100-kilo squat. That's science. Like, that's proven. And that then gave me the confidence to be like, if I work hard, things will happen. And that was like the first time in my life that I was like, oh, hard work isn't just something that you do and hope pays off. Like, it actually does pay off. So,
no,
yeah.
100%. But I think, yeah, like going back, and I think I've already kind of briefly touched on this, but just to like leave that there, I think like to a certain extent you are in control of the decisions that you make in your life, aren't you? And I think sometimes the lack of confidence or like the not knowing of how it's going to go or how it's going to pan out, like you even just mentioned there about being hesitant about starting like your qualifications and things like that. I think sometimes you've got to take the leap, whether that's just like getting yourself into the gym. Because like that first time that I walked into the gym, little did I know that I would be sat here doing this now as a job. Like you just don't know where things are going to take you, is what I'm trying to say. So like we say, you might not be wanting to start the gym and become a coach, but put it into your own, like, okay, how can I relate to this? And just, yeah, like I hope it's at least helped one person listening to it, because I think anything is possible when you put your mind to it, whether that's getting a 100 kg squat or whether that is, you know, getting a job that you actually enjoy doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, going on to the next question. If you could only do one movement in the gym forever, what would you do and why?
Okay, so something I've actually thought about before, believe it or not. And I've got two different answers. I've got one answer that's like, this is what I'd want to do. And then one answer that is like, technically, this is what I should be doing.
Yeah, like
so
that.
The one that out of enjoyment and out of like PB level satisfaction, that's what I would do. And it's a barbell back squat. I just love squats and I want to do them forever. But out of a full body movement, healthy body, trying to strengthen as many areas at once with one exercise, I would do a barbell cluster. So for everyone listening, if you don't know what that is, you basically have the barbell on the floor, you do a clean, so you get it to your shoulders, and then you press it over your head as you stand up. So in that movement, you're getting basically a deadlift, a front squat, and an overhead press all in one, and a clean, obviously. So like that's what I would do from a point of getting a full body thing. But from if you actually genuinely was like, if you could only do one, I would probably say a back squat.
That's such a good answer, and honestly, like we're just so similar, aren't we? Because that's But like the movement I was going to say was squat. Like if I could do one movement forever, it'd be a form of a squat. Any squat, give me an overhead squat, a clean squat, clean front squat, back squat, whatever squat. I think a squat, like, as well, is just such a solid movement for the full body as well, isn't it? Especially when you start going into things like cleans and thrusters and clusters and all of this. So yeah, they're definitely a favourite movement. But for me, out of pure enjoyment, it would just be a clean. I love like a clean.
Oh, interesting. Nice.
Yeah, squat cleans as well. Not too keen on not too keen on overhead stuff. I do it, but not too keen. Fun facts, guys. Basically, what we're both trying to say is we'll do squats forever.
Do squats, guys. They're so good. We love them. We want to talk about as well, for the next question, our goals. Because I feel like we talk about goal setting quite a lot. And, you know, what are your goals? And have a think, blah, blah, blah. But we've never actually told you what we're aiming for when we go to the gym. So, Jess, do you want to kick off?
Yeah. I think there's two answers for this, a bit like the last one. The first one would literally just be, my goal is literally just to go to the gym, to be consistent, to be strong, to feel confident. I know that might sound a bit like eye rolling, but that is genuinely the point that I've got to my journey, where they are my only goals. Like, I'm not going to sculpt my glutes or to suck in my stomach or, you know, drop 10 pounds or whatever. Those goals for me, like, they have just left the chat. Like, the only goals that I've got is just genuinely wellness and health, because I think what's more important than your own health, right? So that's why I show up time and time again. That is the ultimate goal. But if we're going into like performance goals at the moment, like what am I trying to work towards when I am at the gym? Because by having those performance goals, that's what's getting me there. And then it's feeding into the ultimate goal, I guess. So the things that I'm working towards at the moment are very Olympic weightlifting focused. So I'm looking to basically improve my snatch and my clean and jerk. And when I say improve, the technique, I've kind of just gone through a phase of improving that. And now the next goals is to improve the load. So getting that weight up. But I don't like to set myself any set numbers. That's something about me, because I don't deal well with pressure. I don't deal well with if someone says you need to lift this weight on that day, like, I'm out, sorry, see you later. Where if you just tell me that I need to lift more than what I'm doing, probably be able to achieve that. So I don't, and I think that might be helpful for anyone who's listening who's kind of the same. Like, you don't deal too well with pressure, but you do need some goals, so you are progressing. I think just allowing yourself to be like, okay, I just want to improve. And then gradually over time, that will happen.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's weird because at the moment it's literally the first time since I started my fitness journey that I haven't had a strength goal in mind. Like, usually I'm always like, right, I can't wait until I get that next 5 kg on my back squat, or I really want to hit this on my jerk, whatever it is. Like, but at the moment I don't know, I'm just like, I'm happy with the amount of strength I have. And I think that's quite a nice place to be in, because I know at a point I will again be like, okay, let's push for that 90 kg, whatever. So at the moment, my goals are to be intentional whilst I'm in the gym. I think whilst work has been really busy over the last couple of months, and like probably you guys listening to this will relate as well, I literally go in and go through the motions and almost like rush my session, which I hate, because it's the one point in the day that is for me. And like, if I'm like going on a lunchtime or whatever, like, I try not to think, oh, I need to go back to work to do this, to do that. What's the rest of my day looking like? But I do. So I think the goals over the next couple of months for me are really to just focus on the movements that I'm doing in the session, rather than thinking about what I've got to do after the session. So be more intentional, and also complete my accessory work, because it's something I was neglecting. And yeah, especially like lower body accessory work, just because I have some imbalances and would like over the winter to make use of the extra food and get chunky legs.
Love that.
There we go.
No, they're good. So then going on to finish up, 3 interesting / random / just things that we wouldn't know about you. 3 things we wouldn't know about you.
I hated thinking about these because I'm just not interesting.
Should we go for one?
Yeah. But my first one is, and maybe I don't think many people know this about me, but I'm Welsh and I grew up in Wales. And I left home when I was 16 on my own.
I didn't know that before I met you.
Yeah.
So that's something that people probably don't know.
There we go.
My first one, I feel like, has now been picked up from the storytelling, but it was going to be similar to yours, I guess. I went into the military when I was 17 and left home. So I think that's something, if you just see me from what I'm doing now, you probably wouldn't know that background, like what my first job was or anything like that. So yeah, number two.
Number two, again, you probably picked it up from what I've talked about, bark and tap dance, which I always think is such an ick.
It is a bit, actually, but
It's a massive ick. Like, if someone said put your tap shoes on, I'd be like, absolutely not. I don't want to do that.
If you want to see Ella tap dancing, please leave it in a comment below, because if the demand is there, then you've got to give the people what they want.
That would actually be hilarious, because I'm actually quite good.
Oh my god.
Right, what's your second one?
My second one is, I'm not very competitive. And I feel like this is something that people might not know, because if you see me in the gym or whatever, and like see me lifting, you might think, oh, okay, like she might be quite competitive. And even just like sport in general, I think people just automatically think people are competitive. But I am probably the least competitive person you will ever meet. So find me in a competition. I'm sorry, don't pick me as a partner. That is all I'm going to say.
I'm the same though. I'm not competitive at all. Like when I did High Rocks at the weekend, don't know if you know guys that did High Rocks, my partner was like, oh my god, let's catch those girls up. And I was like,
No,
I'm not going to do it. I'm never going to do that. And actually, because you've just told me to do that, I'm going to work less hard now.
Oh my god, literally couldn't be more me. But I will be competitive with myself. Do you know, if I say to myself, you will lift that, the competition's on, like game on, I will try and do that. But when you're in like a competition or anything like that, no, honestly. And I've realised that over the like past few years of entering competitions, I did quite a few like CrossFit competitions and things, and I just realised you're not cut out for this, not because you're not fit enough or strong enough. You're just not bothered. You're not
competitive. Just don't care. Yeah, I literally do not care.
Last one.
This is a bit of a boring one, but honestly, I'm just not that interesting. I can't drive. So like whenever I have to get a line bike, or whenever I have to get on a bike, I nearly die every time because I don't know the rules of the road.
Oh my god, I didn't know that. Like,
there you go. I can't drive.
That is not boring. Like, that is something that I wouldn't know. So love that. Mine is that, this is probably boring as well, but I actually really love to travel, and yes, I roll, don't we all? But like traveling is like something that's so important, because when I was, rewind back before I went into the RAF, I was studying travel and tourism, and I fully thought I was going to be an air hostess. And
interesting.
that was me. Like, I'm going on that plane, that's where I work, I'll get to like go and travel the world. Long story short, that didn't happen. I quit college and went in the RAF.
No air hostessing for you. You could, there's still time.
Honestly, I'm scared of flying now. So I guess that's another fun fact.
Are you actually?
I do it, but I don't enjoy it. And I think it's because I used to work in air traffic control in the RAF.
Interesting.
So, like, being there, obviously things didn't go wrong, but you could see what could go wrong. You had that kind of training to be aware for it. So now when I'm sat on a plane, I'm like, right, I just feel like I know what they're doing, and like I shouldn't know what they're doing.
You know too much.
Yeah. But anyway, they are the 3 random, not that interesting facts, guys. But we hope that you've enjoyed it nonetheless, and you feel like over these past 2 episodes you've kind of got to know us a bit, because like we say, this is a strength training podcast and we want to be here and giving you all of the goss to help you on your journeys. But just like Ella said on the first part, that if you don't know who you're talking to or taking advice from, you can sometimes like just be like, oh, well, why should I listen to you? So I think just having a bit of background knowledge on us is interesting. And I love, like, my favourite podcast, people who I listen to, I love to know more about them. So hopefully you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you want to see stuff like this more, like, let us know, because, you know, we always get kind of requests on like, oh, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? But yeah, if you want more chilled stuff, let us know.
And I actually really enjoyed filming them. Like, just way.
I mean, who doesn't love talking about themselves?
The thing is, I actually don't. I don't talking about myself.
Interesting.
So it's been really interesting to actually rewind a bit and go, oh wow. So podcast, it's like reflection time. Grab a cuppa and be like, oh, come quite far. So
Yeah.
that reminder today, guys, listening to this, think back to your own journeys. Like, where are you now? Where have you come from? And I think sometimes it's important to take a second of reflection.
Definitely.
Right. We will see you next week for another episode.
We will see you next week for another episode.
Bye.
Bye.